Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today we are going to make this card, which I have named a platform card. This is one that I made a little while ago, and it uses the Hey Chick stamps and dies. The Hey Chick stamp set was originally a Celebration set a few years ago, and Stampin' Up have re-released it and also brought out some dies with it. Unfortunately, it isn't going to go over into the new catalogue, so it will retire at the end of this month. But for those of you that love the chickens, this set is going to be in the new catalogue, the Hey Birthday Chick. This was also released as a special release at the same time that they bought this set back and the dies, so this will still be available. So don't worry, you haven't got to go without your chickens. And there are a set of dies that go with that as well. I've used a mix of both on the card we're going to make today, so that you've got a little bit of variety basically. So what we're going to do is make the card base first. If I turn it sideways, you can see why it's called a platform card, because it has this platform that you can mount things on. So what we need to start with is half of an A4 sheet, and I have used a piece of crumb cake for my base, and this is half of an A4 sheet cut lengthways. So if you're not in the UK, half of whatever your sheet is, and then the cut halfway across the sheet is at 10.5 centimetres. So standard UK A4 sheets are 21 centimetres wide. Okay, now, so that's half a sheet. So now we need to do some scoring. So we're going to score it. I'm just going to pop this card out of the way for the minute. We're going to score it at 14.8, which on a standard UK piece of A4 cardstock is in half across the length. So if you were making a C6 card base, you would cut your A4 cardstock at 14.8 to get you 2 C6 bases. I hope that makes sense. If there's any questions, please feel free to make a note of them. So if this was our full A4 sheet, this score line here would be across the length of the sheet. Hope that makes sense. Right, now we're going to work on one half of the cardstock. This piece is going to make the back of our card, and that will fit into a standard C6 envelope. Okay, so now we're going to work on the left-hand side of the card. It doesn't really matter which way round unless you're doing it on patterned card. Okay, so we have scored at 14.8, and now we are going to score at 11 centimetres. And then at 7 centimetres, and then at 3 centimetres. Okay, so we've got several folds there, so I'm just going to move my trimmer out of the way, and I'm going to bring in a bone folder and we'll burnish those folds. So any of you that are new to crafting, burnishing just means giving them a good flatten out basically on the score lines, and that will create us a nice crisp fold when we go to make the base. Okay, so I'll give those all a good burnish with the bone folder. Okay, and now we can fold up our card. If I turn that sideways, you can see that that is going to make the base of our card. If I bring back in the one we've got, so can you see it's got that square at the bottom? Okay, now we need to stick this, and we need to make sure it's level or square at the bottom. So what you'll notice when you make this card is that if you were to butt up the piece of cardstock that we're going to use to stick right down at the bottom, this edge here is not level, so you do need to be careful when you stick it to make sure that you get it square. And to that end, I am going to use wet glue because it gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so this is going to make our base. I'm going to eyeball mine. you can, if you feel happier, use your grid paper. It's difficult for me to get over my grid paper, but you can use your grid paper if you've got some, to make sure that you are lined up. Also make sure the, oh, I've had a right mess of that, haven't I? Also make sure that the edges are lined up. Now you'll know if you've got it in the right place because it needs to fold up like that. So that might be an even easier method for you to do. If you haven't got double-sided tape on there, you could literally just fold it down and tuck the flap under, and then we know that that is going to be perfectly square and it will fold to go in our envelope. So that's the base of our card, and now we need this section here. You can use the card base just like this and decorate along here and this section here, but we're going to add an extra platform to ours today, and that is this piece here. So I'm bringing back in my trimmer, and I've already cut this smaller piece down, and this piece is cut at 8 centimeters wide and it is 18 centimeters long. So 8 across there, 18 down there, and we are going to score it at 2 lots of 4. So first score, just get my trimmer blade out of the way, we don't want to cut it up, at 4, and then we're going to score it at 8. Okay, and then I have got another score on there, I've just realised. Oh no, don't need that. Right, that was my template, sorry. Just sorting that out. Okay, so we can get rid of the trimmer again for the minute. Okay, and we're just going to burnish those score lines as well. And this will make our front flap. Okay, so this is going to be mounted onto the bottom of our base there, and then this flap here, if I turn it sideways, hopefully you'll get a better idea. This flap here is going to stick up at the back, and again we want to make sure that is square. So the easiest way I've found to do that, because we want to make sure it's not going to stick over the top of the card, when it's folded, which that does actually, so I need to trim that down a little bit. Just checking. Yeah, you can see here, this is my template. Look, I always make a rough template for fancy fold cards. You can see here that this piece of cardstock is longer than the 18, so I just need to trim that down to 18 centimetres, and then we should be good. Okay, so I have to pull out my arm. Make sure you trim the right end. I was about to cut that off the wrong end. Okay, if you cut your cardstock to the right length to start with, then this shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we've cut that down. And if I offer that up again, you will see that if this is stuck on the bottom there, when that card is in there, it will fold completely flat. Okay, so we can go for the same principle as before. Okay, so if you put adhesive onto this first 4 centimetre section, this is the bit that's going to stick to the card. Okay, so if we put some adhesive on there and then fold it in, fold it at the score line, fold your card down, so you're folding the bottom of the card towards the centre of the card, line up the base of this section with that score line, and then fold the other fold as well, and then tuck that down there and lay it flat. Give that a good press. Don't use too much glue because we don't want it to squidge out. And then that section, which is exactly what I've done, that section will fit on there like that, and we'll just give that a chance to dry, and I'll get that off with a glue rubber, so don't put too much glue on. Okay, so this section then gets adhered to there, but before we do that, we're just going to stick some DSP on, and again I've got a piece here that's a little bit too long, so we will have to cut that down, but you'll see what we're going to do with the extra piece. or what the possibility is to do with the extra piece. So we need a piece that is 10.5 centimetres by 10. I'm just checking my notes. Yep, 10.5 by 10. So if we just cut this down, and you'll notice I've got a piece of pattern DSP which has got dandelions on it, so make sure if you are using something that's got a definite direction that you actually do cut it in the right direction. Okay, and this piece is going to be mounted on there. And I wanted mine to have a very slight border, so I'm going to have to cut that down a little bit more again. So we cut that at 10, didn't we? So I'm just going to take that up to 9.5. So I've just cut a sliver off there. There we go. Yeah, that's a better fit. So let's put some glue on the back of that. Okay. And then we're going to offer that up to there. Again, using wet glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, got that right, so we'll give that a press down to make sure that's flat. Okay, so please ignore my gluey mark there. And then this piece gets stuck to here, so I found it was easier to put the glue on the bottom here than to try and glue it on that box. Put glue on that box rather, and not squish it. Okay, so this, again, don't put too much glue on. I always get in a mess with glue when I'm filming. I always do it fine when I'm not filming, then as soon as I'm trying to film, we get in a mess. There we go. We're going to stick that down there. So that card, as you can see, will fold, well, it will do when it's stuck, will fold completely flat. Right, so we're going to put that to one side for the time being. I really do need to get that off there. So going back to that smaller bit, we were left with this piece, weren't we? So what you can do, if you want to, is cut that down to fit on that top there, and I'm going to do that. So the score was 4 centimetres. So if you cut at 0.5 centimetre less, then you'll get a nice even edge. So we're going to cut that at 3.5 centimetres, and then that piece will fit nicely on there. And as you can see, we're pattern matching there. So if you're using a piece of paper that's got a definite direction and a definite pattern, and then you're trimming it down like I've just done, make sure you pattern match it. Or not, if you prefer it abstract, but I'm a bit anal, I like mine matching. Okay, so we're just going to line that up on there. Okay, and then we're just going to put that to one side to dry, and that's still left us with a couple of little pieces. So, right, we'll put that to one side to dry, and then we're going to deal with the decoration. So I have stamped and cut out a few bits and pieces to go on that card. In the Happy Birthday Chick dies, there is a die that cuts this cute little happy birthday. So I've cut that out of the bumblebee, which is what this yellow is here. And we're going to adhere that to the bottom there. So we'll come back to that in a minute. And I've also cut some of the hens out. So these two were out of the Hey Chick, which is the set that's going to retire. And this one, this little chicken with blowing a candle out on the cake, this one is out of the Hey Birthday Chick, which is going over. So we're just going to give her a little bit of colour. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to use the blends pens. Now I have die cut mine just to save time, but ordinarily I wouldn't. I would stamp, colour and then die cut them. So we're just going to put some pink icing on there, and this one is light pink pirouette. And then I've got the dark one here, which we're just going to, and I'm using the finer end here just to colour in the cupcake case. Okay, and then we're going to give the candle a little bit of orange with dark pumpkin pie. And then chickens, as you know, come in all different colours. So we're going to come back in, and I'm going to use the, what am I using? The ivory marker for this one. I have to say it's easier to colour when I've not got the camera in the way, so please excuse my not very good colouring. I use my iPhone